5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much your generous invitation to be here tonight. You bear heavy responsibilities these days.
Welcome to Stock Legends Radio Show, seeking answers, opinions, and the inside scoop, putting you in the front seat on Wall Street.
In today's market,
This is breaking news. Where is it going next?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stock Legends Radio Show. Please welcome today's host, myself, Quick Draw. Also today we have a special guest that we are very excited about. His name is Michael De La Garza, and he is the chairman of a company traded under the OTCQB exchange by the name of National Scientific Corporation, also ticker symbol NSCT. Michael, welcome to the Stock Legends Radio Show.
Thank you, Quick Draw.
For the listeners that may not be familiar with the company or perhaps your past, why don't you take a quick moment and tell us a little bit about what brought you to where you are today in this public statement and your methodology behind the company National Scientific Corp.
Very good, thank you. National Scientific has been a technology company started in Texas in 1953. I joined the company about 5 years ago. The company has a history of being innovators in both recently GPS and video tracking for municipalities, school districts, and so forth. My forte has been technology going back to the late 70s, early 80s, specifically in the medical field. In the last 5 years, we've expanded that into the encryption technology spectrum beyond just healthcare. Now we're into data encryption, audio and video streaming. So the company itself has changed focus. It's still a technology company. We've left the GPS and video tracking about 5 years ago and went into the medical software business, providing cloud-based solutions for doctors, hospitals, pharmacies, and so forth. The last 3 years, we've been developing a polymorphic encryption technology that is brand new, patent pending, soon to have 2 patents issued on it. And that's just kind of a teaser of what we're doing.
How exactly does this solution work? It says that it's cloud-based, but what exactly would it do inside of the medical atmosphere?
We have 2 different parts. So if we're talking about CloudMD, which is our medical software system, that is a cloud-based practice management electronic medical record system that assists doctors and hospitals in not only billing, but also collecting money from patients, as well as sending information to the federal government under the Obamacare Act. That said, we also, one of the problems that we found out 5 years ago was that privacy was going to be a huge issue with the move to the Affordable Care Act, with people sharing information across the cloud. We started the search for an encryption technology that was unhackable, and at the time there was no such thing. Most all the encryption technologies are based on 40-year-old methodologies and algorithms that basically say the bigger the key size, the more complex or longer it should take to be able to hack that. The problem is with the innovation of supercomputers and very smart hackers, we've gotten to the point now where even a 256-bit encryption can be hacked in just a matter of moments. So no data is really secure. That said, we started looking for an encryption technology that the world has never seen, and we actually hired some very, very high-level scientists that were former employees of the federal government that were developing a polymorphic encryption algorithm engine that instead of just a type of cipher, we were able to actually develop a morphing cipher, which means the more you attack it, the more it morphs. So that was the technology that we found 4 years ago. We started developing that technology out, commercializing it, if you will. We're now at a point where that technology is ready to be productized. So we're going into specific areas. The areas that we're looking at is obviously medical, for the electronic medical records. That's our need specifically, but we found out that the morphing technology is basically unhackable. And what that means is that it would literally take a group of hackers on a supercomputer, thousands and thousands of years of computing time to be able to hack part of our algorithm. That said, by the time they actually got the data would be worthless.
Right, exactly.
So it's a world-changing, disruptive technology that we developed. We filed 2 patents on it, one for hardware, one for software, and we should be issued our patent numbers. They've been published for opposition and review for the last year and a half, so we should be receiving our patent numbers in January of 2015.
That would be rather significant. Now, are you currently, is a solution introduced into the medical field as an active solution currently, or is it still in test phases, or where are you as far as the technology is concerned?
Yeah, we've been a development stage company as far as the encryption technology goes. We've signed our first couple of customers up for the technology. One of them is a streaming audio and video similar to Netflix. We've already been, actually, it was $1 million plus sale to these guys for our encryption technology. We'll be deploying that technology in January as a finite solution. So that's the first to market solution for that product. The product is actually, we've hardened it, it's locked down, it is actually going to the commercial stage now. We're building the user interface at this point in time. That's going to take us about 4 more weeks from now. So before the end of the year, we will be going to market with the product.
Since this system basically, correct me if I'm wrong, works as a whole like back-end management type of system, it does the billing and everything, is there a portion of waste that this particular technology will prevent these doctors' offices and hospitals from seeing or realizing?
Let me split this into 2 discussions here. The CloudMD software, which is what you're referring to, is a billing and collection system that is remotely hosted, and on top of it being remotely hosted, the cost to the doctors has become a subscription basis as opposed to buying a legacy style system with servers and hardware on site. So this is a pure cloud application. It's mobile, goes anywhere the doctor goes. So whether it's in the doctor's office or at home or on vacation, you can review a medical record. And with our encryption technology, totally secure now, he can review the medical record. He can write a script in the cloud, and he can also review medical records for emergency cases if he were a hospital-based doctor. So that's part of our technology. And yes, there's an economy of scale savings for those doctors and those physicians that actually adopt our technology, not only from the effect that this is an evergreen product, which means because it is purely a cloud-based product, when we update one system, we update all systems simultaneously. So the doctor doesn't have to hire IT people or maintain a staff of any sort. As far as the IT structure goes, we handle all that in the cloud. As long as he has a mobile device or phone, he's able to log on, or any computer. Now, that said, if you move over to the encryption technology, our encryption technology is also cloud-based. So it is not installed on the computer, but it's going to be available on an applet that will run from a phone or any other device, an iPad, a notebook, a server, makes no difference. What's unique about the encryption technology is not only is it available for encrypting data at rest, but also data in motion. Which is unique about that is that normally you have to install hardware, very sophisticated hardware, to be able to encrypt a server system of data at rest. So if you look at most of the recent hacking that's going on, Home Depot yesterday said there's going to be 50 million cards at risk. With our technology, we also have a hardware encryption, which is a microprocessor encryption for the EMV cards out of Europe. So if you noticed your new credit cards are coming out with a little microprocessor chip built into them, our system is capable of taking that chip, encrypting it uniquely every single time that you would use that credit card in any type of transaction. So this defeats the hackers. What's the beauty of that is the same technology that we have for that microprocessor can also work on a server.
I see. Okay, so the variable's constantly changing. So there's no similar variable in all the cards or all the encryptions. Every single time they get a different encryption.
It's truly randomized, and the more you attack it, this is the unique feature about the cipher, is that the more you would try to use a man-in-the-middle attack or a brute force attack on our technology, it morphs the cipher. And the cipher starts morphing on the low end at about 15,000 times per second to on the high end about 3 million times per second. And it's a very unique technology. And that is why there are much easier targets to go after than one that is encrypted with our technology. So if all the credit card industry were to switch to our technology, you would probably eliminate 90+% of all the fraud.
A lot of people might remember recently in the headlines with Obamacare, I mean, how many hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on the site. There was a hacker, he was on Fox and he was on a lot of the other TV shows talking about the safety of the medical information that was basically being uploaded and added to the Obamacare website. And they spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And if you remember, there was a 3 or 4 month wait where they were getting everything fixed and updating it. And when they came back up and were live, the same exact hacker went in and he said it's actually less secure now than it was 4 months ago. Now, would this type of technology be relevant to an online data collection database similar to the Obamacare website?
Absolutely. In fact, the Obamacare websites and the state exchanges were hacked within minutes of them taking live data in. And that was part of the problem, is that they were being hacked and shut down by various parties, hackers, if you will. Secondly, yes, the data that's out there, and that was the fear that we had as a small company. I've been in the medical field and the medical software field since the inception of software in medicine. So I go back to 1979, and I've been writing software or having my group write software for the medical industry since the late 80s. We've been continuously in that business. The greatest fear for a small company or a large company, whether it's McKesson, GE, or a startup, is securing the data. And you can see that if you can secure that data and you can make it bulletproof, that it is completely hardened and unhackable, then you have the best product in town. So what happens is that we have been speaking to the folks that actually wrote the data structure in the database for the Obama Exchange. They're out of Canada. And that company is well aware of the vulnerability of what they built. Now, one of the flaws in what they built is nobody thought that people would want that data and then it would be that vulnerable. We knew it was vulnerable the day they wrote it because the specs were too lax. Secondly, any 128-bit or 256-bit FIPS certified encryption can be hacked. There's only one type of encryption that cannot be hacked. It's a one-time pad. And that is a singular key, a one-time cipher key that you hand to a person, and they use that key one time and it's destroyed. Our system works very similar to a one-time pad in that it's unique every single time. We go beyond a single cipher, and in any data, let's say you're encrypting electronic medical record of a person's disease state, and this may have labs in there, may have radiology in there, may have doctor's reports in there. What we can do is we can take that data, analyze it with our system, decide what is the best encryption technologies to use on it. Then our system will take the data, separate into different sized data packs, and then encrypt all those with a different type of encryption and a different type of encryption cipher. And if you were to try to attack that data, the data cipher starts morphing. And the more you attack it, the faster it morphs. So we actually defeat the hacker before the hacker can defeat us. And the reason is we're changing the variables at a rate that it can't keep up. So we can totally 100% secure the data and make it so onerous for that hacker that they'll move on to something else.
Let's say, for example, okay, so once the data is collected and the data is in the system, you've got it, protected against brute force and other kinds of hacking by this type of morphing encryption that you're speaking of. Let's say, for example, that the website has a vulnerability, or there's some kind of error on the website or something along the lines of this. Is there anything in the actual system or data that would prevent that from being a possible entry point for a hacker?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, there's no latency in our product. So it works as fast, if not faster, than current encryption technology. Secondly, if we use an attack that you actually froze the cipher in midstream, our system notifies us that that's noise on the system, immediately marks the cipher. If there's any latency in that delivery of that cipher or the encrypted file, our system immediately changes the cipher and starts morphing it. So you can't use that type of attack on our system because simply we'll exclude it from use at that point in time.
So you're referring to like a monkey in the middle type of hack if like it gets
Exactly.
poisoned.
Exactly.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty significant.
right. In fact, let me give you a little history on the company. We have 3 PhDs that are cryptographers and advanced mathematicians that have written the algorithms for what we have. These guys are former military intelligence, former NSA employees. These are not, they're teaching professors at different universities, and they actually teach cryptography. So what we're talking about here is an algorithm based on string theory, and the multitude of the morphing is based on an exclusion of isomorphs. And if you don't know what an isomorph is, I can explain that to you. But it's basically a repetition of letters, numbers, or phrases. What's unique about our cipher technology is that a piece of the data makes up part of the cipher. And so you're not using a commonly used set of isomorphs of reoccurring numbers and letters. What we're doing is we're actually taking a random piece of the actual data. And as we encrypt that, the cipher, if it were to be hacked, the cipher lock, if you will go in and take another piece of the data, and it's constantly randomized. There's no repetition of any form. So it's as close to random as you can get. On top of that, our system is designed to where we can use all of the common ciphers there. Yes, it doesn't matter what it is. We can use all the currently available ciphers, add our cipher engine to those ciphers, and now we're taking current cipher technology, AES 128, 256, whatever, and adding our morphing technology to it. So now we've strengthened the current technologies. So a player, a business, a corporation, whatever, would not have to remove their technology. They just add our technology to it. And the way we do this is it's very unique. We're a true cloud-based cipher technology. There's no hardware installed at the location or on your computer or anywhere else. The way our system works is that it's basically you have an applet on your computer. It notifies us that you have a file you want to encrypt. Our system then downloads, looks at the file, encrypts it, and then the system immediately erases any of that cipher lock system that's been downloaded to your computer, and it's gone. If somebody were to freeze mid-frame, the system, because of latency, would know to erase that, and the system works basically in milliseconds to seconds. I mean, it's very quick. It doesn't matter if it's a film. So if you're streaming video, audio, pictures, data, whatever, the size of the file makes no difference because all we're doing is turning that into data packets. Each data packet is then encrypted with a different cipher, and then it's all morphing. And we have 4 different levels of this technology. So from a very hardened, simple system that you could use for, say, emails, things of that sort, to a very technical, high hardened, military-grade encryption that would take the technology to a point that we could actually set it up where it's morphing 3 million times per second. So
wow.
You can see that it depends on the data and what you're trying to secure, and obviously every company's got different needs.
What I'm hearing here is you've obviously built this around a medical type of utilization with a back-end management type of system, but this could be used for military applications. This could be used for smart card technology. This could be used, let's take a look at Apple iCloud, for example. Apple iCloud was just hacked in a huge way just 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure if you heard about the Apple iCloud
Sure, I
hack.
have. We're on the inside on everything that's going on, and believe me, When Apple came out yesterday and said that their phones were unhackable, that may be true, but 100% of all the data goes to the cloud, and the cloud is vulnerable. And definitely Apple is a company that we'd like to talk to. We're currently in discussions with about a half a dozen Fortune 50 companies.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yes, this is a new technology, and if you take the time to read the patent, we actually have 2 patents. We can actually encrypt the firmware on a chip. So we can protect secure data on a chip as well as any data that's just software-based. So the system has got 2 really unique patents. The patents work in different ways, but the methodology is the same, that it's a morphing cipher that protects whatever is behind or inside of the bubble. And we have designed this currently at 4 different levels. So you asked me earlier what type of businesses we can go into. Anybody that's using the cloud or using any type of streaming audio, video, it doesn't even have to be using the cloud. It could be just on servers at rest where data is vulnerable. We can encrypt the data on the servers. So for us, our customers are all over the world. It's not limited to medical. Medical is where I started. Financial is huge for us. And we're, like I said, we're very far down the road. But what we're going to be positioned as, since we're a small company and we're growing rapidly, is to go to those Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies, build them a solution, and let them sell it to their own customers. So it'll be middleware at that point.
Right. So you'll basically give them access to the technology. Now, is there a figure you'd sell out at? Let's say someone walked in today and said, "Hey, here's $5 billion." Would you hang your hat?
We would. In fact, we believe that it's right now we're at a point where $5 billion is a very low number for what we have. We think that just the credit card industry alone is worth $1 billion a year to us for just encrypting credit cards. And we're currently in talks with some folks out of Europe to encrypt the EMV cards, which is what's coming in the United States.
Okay, now what is that? What is that specifically? Is that a smart card technology based identification
card?
Technology
is called EuroPay Visa MasterCard, and it's the chipped. They use a chip and pin in Europe, and that chip and pin is being defeated right now. That's the technology coming to the United States. Now that said, there are various credit card processors that have added other obstacles in the way for chip and pin. One of the problems here in the United States is that no one wants to lose a sale because the microprocessor on the chip is not working, or the credit card machine doesn't have the ability to process a chip. So they're still using the mag strip or the magnetic strip on the back of the card in the event there's no way to run it on the microprocessor. That said, that means that you can still skim the card, you can make a copy of it. If you were to use our technology, that card could be re-encrypted every single time. Now, granted, the mag strips on the back of the cards have to go away. That's not going to happen for about 3 more years in the United States.
For those that don't know about the smart card, it's a small metal chip. I remember when they showed up on the military IDs, actually rather recently, I would say maybe 6 or 7 years ago. A funny story, I remember on base, these military bases, they're like small cities, and be out with other Marines, and we'd be flying through base, trying to get out on a Friday evening, and a military police officer would be hiding in the tree line, and they would pop out onto the road behind us onto these Humvees, and we'd be like, oh man. They would literally walk up to the window and ask for your military ID. They would take the military ID, go ahead and slide it into their dashboard, and it had a smart card on it, which would have medical files. I mean, it would have everything. They'd come back to the driver's side window, hand you your military ID, not say a word, turn around and take off. And, when you got paid on the 1st or 15th, you'd notice that you were docked $600 in your pay for the speeding ticket. No paper trail, no work involved. So, the amount of data that can be basically stored and accessed or presented or whatever with a smart card is actually rather unbelievable. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about these patents that you have. Now, would you consider these blocking patents as far as the verbiage is concerned?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Now, let's talk specifically for a moment about these patents that you have on this technology. Would you consider these blocking patents as far as the verbiage is concerned?
I'm not sure exactly if it's a blocking patent or not. What we have is we have an IP attorney that works for the company on a semi-full-time basis. We anticipate writing hundreds of patents on this technology or offshoots of this technology to protect it. The two patents we have now the applications have been in for about 18 months. We've been through a review, not a marketing hearing, but a review, and the reviewers at the patent office have no idea what they're really looking at. They don't have anything comparable to compare it to, so it's completely new technology. The other thing is we're not patenting an encryption, we're patenting an encryption engine technology. And that encryption technology is based on this polymorphism that we have created. So when you look at our patents, you'll see that one is very specific and to a hardware solution that would basically work on an Intel chip or any other kind of chip, in fact. But the hardware patent is very unique, and it is, again, we anticipate if the world adopts our technology, we could be on every microprocessor in the world eventually. Because why wouldn't you want an encrypted microprocessor as opposed to non-encrypted? Secondly, the software patent is applicable to any industry, but also think about all the colos in the world that have data at rest. And remember, what happened with Target and Home Depot is data at rest. The guys were able to put the malware in there, log in, and actually go into the system, and it will download information daily. So these are unique patents, and we expect to turn into a Dell-style patent engine where we could write literally a patent for every application that we customize.
When you say information at rest, and was it information at movement, is that referring to the wireless transmission of data to the cloud?
It could be wireless or wired. I mean, it could be any data in motion we can encrypt, and any data at rest we can encrypt. So, the most vulnerable time is when, let's take a credit card, for example. The moment that credit card is swiped or is inserted into a slot, PCI slot, that's when it becomes vulnerable because the data can be copied then. Secondly, when the data is in motion, if it's not encrypted, again, that can be intercepted. So with our system, you could literally encrypt the card, encrypt the transaction at the moment the transaction was actually transacted. So that's what's unique about what we have is because we can encrypt the card, it doesn't matter if you encrypt the transaction at that point because you can't get the data from the card. And that's what's unique about this is that we can re-encrypt that card millions of times. So in other words, let's say that you have this data breach from Home Depot and you have 50 million cards that are now corrupted. That means that the banks and credit card issuers have to issue 50 million new cards. Well, guess who do they go to get the money? They go to the insurers of Home Depot, to Target, to Neiman Marcus. And you're talking about $5 a card on average to ship these cards back out. If you had the new EMV card with a microprocessor on there or a smart card, you could literally just go back to a credit card machine, to a bank ATM, stick it in the slot, and our system would re-encrypt the card with a new encryption, saving the banks and the credit card issuers from having to mail out a new card. Also, if you think that your card has been scammed or whatever may have happened, you could simply go to an ATM or to a credit card system and credit card machine and reinsert the card and would re-encrypt it immediately.
Wow.
Yes, this is a disruptive technology. We are rewriting the book on what the encryption looks like from the algorithm standpoint. We're also rewriting on the use of that technology.
How does it feel being the chairman of a company and being at this point of your current existence?
How does it feel to be this guy? Well, we have a lot of sleepless nights.
I can only imagine. I mean, there must have been lots of hills to climb and valleys to cross before you got to this point. It must be an exciting time for you. I mean, what's the overall feeling? Are you so close to the doorway that you have an anxiety and you're kind of...
Yeah, yes. We've been... When I discovered the technology, bought the company, and started funding the programmers to develop out the technology, every day was like we were peeling back layers of the onion because we were developing applications or use of applications that were traditionally very expensive to encrypt or to use encryption technology on. And we think the valuation of our company could be in the $50 to $100 million range, or $1 billion range rather, once this is developed out. So conservatively, we have, a $5 to $10 billion company, and that's coming from folks that actually know what they're talking about. We've spoken to a number of CBAs, a number of hedge funds, as well as analysts on Wall Street and all over the world, actually, in Saudi Arabia, Korea, Europe. And the technology it's a game changer. And yes, we don't sleep at night because, first of all, we have to protect our technology. And we've done that. All of the guys that helped develop the technology are shareholders in the company, so they have taken stock in lieu of high salaries. Secondly, we've locked down the code. We have a number of very, very talented programmers that understand what we're doing and what the end game is. And then lastly, of course, we're positioning this so that we think that, a company, and I don't want to name any names because they may be people we're currently in talks with, but I think we're going to get an offer in the $5 to $10 billion range on this company. And I think it would be a bargain for whoever buys it because the world is basically the market.
Michael, a little bit of a personal question. You say you're not sleeping now. How soon do you think you'll be able to get your first night's sleep?
Honestly, I think we're very close on deals. I think in the next 90 days, I think I've got a really nice bottle of wine and a cigar.
That a boy.
I'm ready, and I told my wife I'm not going to do it until the day we get a bona fide offer. But we've had offers sub $100 million for the company, and we're not going to sell for that kind of money.
Oh, I don't blame you. Not with technology like this. It's too game-changing. Michael, do you have anything that you'd like to say to some potential new investors that may be listening to the radio show today that are interested in your company? Maybe you just want to welcome them on board, or maybe your old investors, you have a statement for them that you'd like to present to them?
Yes. The company, this is 4 years plus of work to get to the point we are now. We're on the verge of becoming a very valuable company. The products are coming to market now, and as they come to market, we're going to have more and more feedback from Wall Street, NASDAQ, and so forth. But the people that are in the know are extremely excited about what we have. They think we're a game changer. I know we're a game changer. I think our growth is going to be in the stratosphere. It's going to be, I think our bell curve is going to look like a straight climb because of the fact that one customer for us, one real customer, could be $50 to $100 million license agreement. One.
That's definitely sustainable with technology like this. I mean, it's game changing. It's innovative. I understand the encryption side of things better than maybe the average person. So yeah, I mean, this is phenomenal. I mean, it has to be an exciting time. It's game changing. It is game changing.
It is, and I think our stock price over the next 90 days will reflect that. We have kept this very stealth, and you can ask my shareholders that have been with me for 5 years or so. They want more news. I don't want to put out more news until we're ready. Part of the discussion is that people that want our technology don't want people to know they bought our technology yet. And part of that is that, it takes time to transition from the current technology to our technology, but they also don't want to advertise they might be vulnerable. So think about it. The companies that are like us are trading in the $50 to $100 range. A year ago, they were in the $20 to $25 range. So the market is wide open. The early adopters of our product are going to get a bargain. The guys that come later are going to be paying quite a bit more because as the product proves out that it is as viable as we say it is, why would you buy something that's vulnerable? Why would you buy an AES encryption that can be hacked?
Oh, it immediately becomes obsolete. I mean, it's just not even a viable option at that point in time.
We believe we're an all or nothing proposition. So if the credit card industry switches to us, it has to be all of them. And I believe that the discussions that we've had with the right people in that industry is pointing towards the possibility of an all or nothing movement. It may take a few years for that to happen, But, money motivates people. If you're losing 10 to 15 billion a year in fraud, and most of the fraud is online, I don't believe that any of the current offerings, period, have the ability to do what we're doing. So whether you're working with Amazon or Apple or anyone else out there, Alibaba for that matter, 90% of the fraud is online for credit cards. So think about that for a minute and think how large that industry is and how fast it's growing. The largest IPO in the history of the world is Alibaba today. And where do they make their money? It's all online. They're as vulnerable as anybody else.
Most of the large businesses coming in nowadays do all their business online. I mean, the internet in itself is growing faster than the technology is to be able to maintain it. I mean, there's no question about that.
That's extremely true. I was just at a conference here in Las Vegas called DEF CON 22, and it's the world's greatest hackers come together at the Rio Hotel, and they basically spend a week learning how to hack new technologies. So Tesla was there with their car, and for 2 days, and they had a cash offer if anybody could hack their system. So for the first 2 days, no one hacked the system. And then a nondescript individual walked up, and in about 30 seconds had hacked the entire system. The horn went off, the lights went off. Guy picked up his reward and left. So when you're talking about a company that has the war chest that they do, and they were hacked in literally minutes, there's more than one individual that can do that, I can promise you. So we're at a point now where I think national security, the security of the airlines, the banks, the financial institutions around the world, NASDAQ, if you remember last year, the Wall Street was hacked and shut down for a period of time. Those were all data intrusions. So if I can affect data in motion encryption, and it works with no latency or no more latency than the current systems, why would you buy somebody else's technology?
Yeah, I mean, if let's say, for example, it works as you're stating, and of course, all technology has the opportunity to grow. Let's think of the power grid. Let's think about the nuclear base that was hacked in Iran. Let's think about all these, I mean, there's a lot of very sensitive data that if this is a unique encryption that's never been seen before, it's basically a new perspective. Yes. This could be the technology that basically catches us up and puts us ahead. I mean, people were saying just a couple of years ago, we were 10 years behind the hacking capabilities of the Chinese or a lot of these other countries where that's basically what they do. They sit in coffee shops and hack 24/7. That's how a lot of these people make their incomes.
Absolutely. And the hackers in the world have grown. We're the largest target in the world. So whether it's the Chinese hacking us, Filipinos, the Brazilians, the Europeans, it doesn't really matter where you're hacking from. The net is such that a hacker can get in and get out, and people don't even know they've done it. We're trying to change what we are is a paradigm shift. We can encrypt everything. Now, does everything need, the highest standard FIPS encryption? No. But if I can take a mid-level encryption and turn it into a morphine encryption that you would never get into, why would you use a regular encryption without us? You wouldn't. It makes no sense. So let's say, here's an example of the value of what we are. Let's say that the credit card industry loses in Europe $10 billion a year in Africa for fraud. If we were to go in there and put our technology in, and we charge the credit card companies 50 basis points, which would be a pass along to those credit card holders for the use of the credit card, it would cost the credit card industry nothing, but you would cut their cost by $10 to $15 billion a year in chargebacks and skimming of the cards. So why would you use anybody else's technology when we already know it's flawed?
Exactly.
So 50 basis points, half a percent sounds like a lot, and it is a lot when you're talking about billions of credit cards in the world. And even if we went to 10 basis points, it wouldn't make any difference because what we're talking about is trillions of dollars, not billions.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, what would you estimate the national credit card fraud in the United States would be annually. I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be a couple percent of total business, at least.
It is. The rule of thumb is 5 to 7%.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing: companies like Amazon, others like them that are pure e-commerce, what they do is they take that as a chargeback. So basically, somebody has bought something, and if they get notified that that is fraud, well, they do a chargeback. And Amazon then has a product that they have sold, and I'm of the belief that they probably book the sale and then they go and sell that as a used product because they return it to their shelves, but it's been sold once, so it's technically a used product, even though it may have been fraud. It may never left their facility.
That's if they catch it in time. If I recall correctly from working in the merchant service industry a long time ago, you have 90 days to report a chargeback.
That's right. You do. And here's something that people don't understand about the new 2015 smart cards here in the United States is that I believe it is October 2015. The law is that if you don't report a card stolen and there are charges on there after October 2015, you are responsible for those charges, even if it's fraud. And that's with the industry switching to the new smart cards. So the onus is changing from the banks, the credit card issuers, and the merchants to the customer, to the owner of that card is going to be responsible for chargebacks or responsible for fraud on their card. And it's a law. It's already signed into law.
Okay, so, if your card gets stolen, you take it upon yourself to go and report it as quickly as possible, where previously people might kind of think, I'll just file a chargeback. Yeah, I'll do it when I get home, or I'll do it when I get back from vacation, or whatever it might be. Instead, the responsibility will be on them, which will make them want to get that rectified.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're talking about. We're targeting the consumer that, hey, if you have a choice between this card and this card, why would you not take the Morgan Cipher card that protects you? And, again, breaches like Target, Home Depot, that is becoming commonplace. People don't even have a second thought about it anymore.
Not only the losses in the breach, but I mean, let's talk about the damaging effect on the name in general. Target, during that Christmas season when the big data breach took place, I know I more than likely would have shopped at Target during that time period, and I purposely did not. And I know there's a lot of people that still think of that to this day. They could think, well, Target doesn't spend the money to keep their customers safe. Maybe I don't want to shop there. That specific instance will be associated and ingrained into a lot of people's minds for a long period of time. So that actually does an uncalculable damage to the brand.
Well, let's think about this. It was going on for 11 months. They didn't know about it. So we know there's a flaw there in their basic IT system and their firewalls and so forth. Secondly, the stock value dropped about 10%. The CEO was basically resigned. He was going to be fired. And the corporation itself suffered probably $1 billion plus in loss of revenue. So you take all that into effect. You took a company that's a Fortune 100 company, and you basically, with just one major data intrusion, almost put them out of business.
Without a doubt. Absolutely.
And now Home Depot has come out and said 50 million of their cards have been hacked or stolen. So, there's this little group out in Russia that just stole around 4.2 billion login passwords over a period of the last 2 years. And they announced that they stole these and they're going to use them. And they started appearing. And so all you hear about today, I'm on a website that I subscribe to for industry encryption guys. And basically the website lists all the data breaches on a daily basis. And it's not one. It used to be one every week. Now it's between 10 and 20 a day. A day.
Yeah, it's scary. It absolutely is. It's a changing world, and you can work hard for something. You can do everything right your whole entire life. You can build a company, become profitable, get the right team, get in business, get the nice house, get the nice car, everything, and then boom, for a data breach or something along the lines of this, it can put you out of business. I mean, it can literally take everything away that you fought for.
let's think about something else. Let's think about the value of the stolen data. The average value of a stolen credit card to a hacker selling on the dark web, if you will, is about $10 to $20 depending on the card and how much information is available. For just a card, for a single card, what is the value of 40 or 50 million cards? What's the chargeback cost? How many people are too lazy to call their credit card company and tell them, or to check their credit card statement on a monthly basis? I'll give you a quick example of something that happened to me. I was at the Beverly Hills Hotel meeting with a group out of Europe about a month ago. I paid with my credit card in the Polo Lounge there, which is a nice little lunch place. And before I got back to my car, I got a call from Chase stating that my Chase Inc. card was just used to purchase 2 round-trip tickets on Virgin Atlantic to fly to Europe, first class, $10,200. Am I going to Europe? Now, can you imagine? I'm at exclusive hotel in Beverly Hills, California, in the Polo Lounge, and the lady skimmed my card in a matter of 30 seconds.
The thing is, how do they do that? For people that might not know, when you swipe the magnetic strip through a credit card terminal, it reads the data. Well, they have the same type of technology. It doesn't transmit the data. It stores it in a secondary device. So they'll take your credit card and act like they're swiping through the credit card, and they'll actually swipe it through your secondary device and then the credit card machine. So your data gets stored, and then instead of going to the processor, it will go to the hacker, and it automatically gets submitted into the database. So it can happen in the blink of an eye.
And it did. And I'm not blaming the waitress, because she may not have been the person that did it, and maybe the cashier. But can you imagine that happened to me there? And if I had not had a fraud alert on my system, I wouldn't have known.
There would have been no way. You might have noticed 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and damage could have been done there. I mean, for the person that has $30, $40 in the bank account, might not be as big of a worry as, for the guy that, has it linked up or maybe has a $50,000 limit.
Sure. And
that ends up with a boat somewhere in Asia that he'll never get to ride.
It happens. And here's the thing. My selling point is exactly what you're saying. We stop the misery, and we believe that the credit card industry will come to us. That we don't have to go to them. Once our technology comes out of stealth mode, which is happening in January, we may be doing some Wall Street Journal ads, as well as Fox Business News has expressed an interest in talking to us about our technology. CNBC has also. I met Rick Santilli at the CME a few weeks back, and Rick, we spent 30 minutes talking about what we do, and I'm anticipating between now and the end of the year to be on both those shows.
Now, do you have any plans to potentially uplist?
We do. We want to go to NASDAQ. We're putting the corporate governance in place, along with the correct corporate structure to be able to move up in exchanges. We'd like to be on NASDAQ. We think we can be there sales-wide, income-wide within a year. There's some other restrictions, obviously, to move there, but we believe that we can meet those other restrictions, and within 12 to 18 months, we can move up in exchange.
That's phenomenal. Michael, it's been our pleasure having you on the radio show. I must say I'm going to follow this very closely. I'm extremely interested in what's going on here. It's an exciting time for you, and it's an exciting time for the investors. I really appreciate the opportunity of being able to have you on the Stock Legends radio show today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. And if anybody needs any information, please go to our website.
And would you like them to go to cloud-mds.com?
And we also have Cypher. Shop, SHOP.com.
And how do you spell Cypher for the listener?
It's CIPHER.
Cyphershop.com. Okay, that's excellent. And there'll be information there on all the technology and everything else. And do you have a contact for investors, large-scale investors that may have additional questions? Is there any place in specific that you would like them to contact you?
Actually, we've got a number of different groups that they can contact, whether it's a brokerage or it's more information for the company. We have several information. Our technology is so different that just having a typical investor relations firm really doesn't meet our cup of tea, because they don't understand who we are or what we do for the most part. And when you start talking about encryption, we're not like any other encryption that's out there. So we'd rather them call the company and speak to us. And we've been pretty successful at talking to those customers.
Now, for the investors listening today, that's 818-9011. And would you like them to ask for yourself or possibly the CFO? Who would be the best contact?
Yeah, I'm the best contact, and then we have a system in place, an IP phone system, where I can send them to an engineer and investment type person that can explain to them what we're doing.
Fantastic. Michael, again, thank you so much for coming on the radio show today.
Thank you, Quick Draw.